Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to episode 63 of Rooted in Wisdom, a daily dose of Donna. I'm Donna Nelson, your host for Rooted in Wisdom. So tonight I'm sharing a short intro to you to something that I'm actually kicking off next week in a three-part series. So, talking about these two things that determine our tolerance for change and uncertainty. And I'm going to talk about these today as us individuals as a whole, but then next week, the three-part series, I'm talking specifically about in the workplace and the three mistakes that business leaders make that will kill workforce safety and connection. So, for today, talking about these two things that determine our tolerance for change and uncertainty, and certainly lots of us have seen ourselves or others around us that have had a challenge with this, whether it's our politicians or in the school systems or in the workplace, in our families, our friends in the community, all of those things, having a difficult time over the last year and a half adjusting to the change and uncertainty that has been around this pandemic. But regardless of the pandemic, these things hold true even before, and they certainly will after. And understanding this will be super helpful to you. So, the two things that determine our tolerance for change and uncertainty are safety and security. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is a psychological theory that's been around for a long time. His theory was, or is, I guess I should say, is that humans have these basic needs. And at the very foundation are our physiological needs, such as food, air, shelter, clothing, warmth, sleep, things that we need for sex, things that we need for survival. Those are things that develop that connection, right? And then, second, up the ladder, once our most basic fundamental human needs are met, the next thing up the ladder is this need for safety and security. And when we don't have safety and security, we don't have predictability, we don't feel like we have control over our lives, then that puts us into this negative state of feeling out of control and in a fear state. And when we're in a fear state, what do we not have? Safety and security, right? So having this need of being in a place where we can put ourselves to feeling safe and secure regardless of the things that are going on around us. Because when we're in a place, whether it's in our family, whether it's in our workplace, whether it's in the community at large, in our community groups, amongst our friends, the grocery store, wherever those places are that we go, when we feel like there's not safety there for us, then we're going to have a lack of trust. That is not something that you want to have in your workplace or in your family or in your intimate relationships, right? So we have to find a way to develop that safety net, right? Where we have that safety and security in all of our relationships so that they don't become fractured with lack of trust or start developing defensive behaviors and attitudes or even withdraw. Because in plenty of relationships, so you can see this in the workplace or in more of your closer relationships, people will withdraw when they start to not feel safe, right? And that can look like many things. They'll withdraw and stop giving you their ideas. They'll withdraw and stop cooperating. They'll withdraw and not give you their time or attention. They'll withdraw the their way of being with you where they disconnect from you emotionally. And so all of these are the kinds of things that can show up when there's not safety and security in any environment or in any relationship. And of course, there's that reaction in fear, right? Where it could be an outburst or, a physical behavior in anger or rage or whatever when there's not safety. So we all kind of have our own little MO on how we respond when we don't feel safe. But then there are those situations where they become extreme or where we have not felt safe for a long time. And then there's like this load that builds up, and then we act out in ways that are different than what would be our typical pattern when we just feel a little stressed. So not having this safety and security in any environment is going to create a stress response, and that is going to put us in this state of fear, or maybe I should say it's creating this state of fear because it's creating the emotional response, which then is triggering the stress response. So to get there, there needs to be psychological safety. There needs to be emotional safety. And of course, those foundational needs have to be met, of course, first that I mentioned, that are at the very foundation of the hierarchy of human needs, such as food, clothing, shelter, connection, those kinds of things. So next week, so that's all I'm going to say about that today, is to think about where there might be for you personally, where you're not feeling maybe safe and secure, and what your own reaction to that is, how you feel, what is your kind of MO when you're not feeling safe and secure in a relationship or in an environment. And then in those places that you're responsible for that, how might that be improved? Where might you see some signs that people aren't feeling safe or secure because of what might be going on or not happening, right? So our responsibility as leaders is to make sure that we're creating these environments where people do feel safe and secure. But if we don't, then their tolerance for uncertainty and change. So when you're trying to change policies, or you're doing some fundamental organizational changes, or you're trying to get your kids to cooperate, or whatever that is, if you're not getting the cooperation, if you're not getting the buy-in, then there is a safety and security issue. That's all I have for these two things to determine your tolerance for change and uncertainty. I'm hopping over to Clubhouse now. If anyone wants to hop over and join me, I am in the club, Purpose Driven Leaders, with my BFF, Tomi Mitchell, who is a physician, and we're talking about It's Lonely at the Top. For the last several weeks, we've been talking about leadership and stress, and leadership under pressure, and all of those things, and the challenges around mental health and well-being. So come on over. We seem to just rattle on. There's no structure. It's an open platform. Anyone is welcome to come up and talk and share. So come over there. That's Purpose Driven Leaders on Clubhouse. And then again, if you want to join my book club, that's in Clubhouse as well, Conscious Leadership Lab. You can go follow the club, and then you'll get those notifications. It's every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday.